Okay. Sam, what are we doing?
We're here for our Monday mail call for both of the Dogmen episodes.
Yes, it's a combined mail call, which I think is fun and just fine. So let's go ahead and get started. Lester has some questions that are sort of humorous, but there's some interesting things here. Do dogmen have pet dogs? That's interesting. Have you ever heard of that, Sam? I have not.
No, but I was recently talking to somebody about I don't remember what it was. Something about Disney characters though, and how like Pluto is a dog and he's Mickey's pet, but Goofy is also a dog and he's a dog man.
Yeah, Goofy is a dog man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing about Mickey owning Pluto has always irked me. When Goofy is apparently Goofy's the result of horrible genetic experimentation. I think he's
well, and Pluto doesn't talk. Pluto is like truly a dog, right? So I don't know. As a kid, I was like, this is confusing because they are both dogs.
So
what makes one a dog and one not?
Yeah, I was never a big Disney guy, but that put me off. And I dislike Goofy intensely.
Goofy was my favorite.
Oh, Goofy! No. If anything, I'm a Donald Duck man. Donald Duck is
he's a crab.
Yeah.
As a kid, he was your favorite. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I liked the little Disney comic books. I liked reading those, and so Donald Duck always seemed to have good stories. So
okay.
I liked those. Yeah. Is Scooby Doo a dog man? That's a question I have. Where does Scooby Doo fit?
He's a dog. He's just sort of a anthropomorphic dog.
But he's
not even fully anthropomorphic.
Yeah, I was going to say he sort of goes back and forth and the speech. I don't know.
He's just a cartoon.
He's not
we
real.
We can't logic our way through that.
Right, I know. I'm going to try. Also from Lester, are there dog women and dog children, and do they have family groups? That is a sort of questions I've seen with other cryptids as well. The idea like where are the young? And I think I've seen references to dog women in some places, but not anything that I can recall fully. But I think but it might be more female Sasquatch that I'm thinking I've seen references to. But I've seen references to multiple genders. But as far as family groups, that's a good question.
I've only ever seen all of the Dogmen stories that I hear. It's just one. There's never multiples together. I mean, not that means that they don't have groups, but they're more solitary than their wolf counterparts.
Yeah, they're not pack manimals. Manimal, that was a good TV show back in the 80s. It really wasn't, but yeah. Kirsten says, I love that you guys started off with a history of wolves and dogs and didn't just jump right into the dog man. Thank you. Yes, that was Sam's idea. That was all her her notion, and I thought that was a good angle. Once she explained to me what she was thinking, I was like, oh wow, yeah.
I started going down a research tangent. Maybe it was with the Beast of Gévaudan. I don't remember, but it was just from there. It was like, I don't know how to fit this in with all of this stuff, and then clearly seemed like we needed 2 episodes.
Yeah, and it let us be more historian-y than just the straight cryptid stuff would be, which is fun. Black Wolf says, okay, Gullius, bring on the Hungry Like the Wolf karaoke. We'll wait. You'll wait a long time. That's not going to happen. Although I do not hate Duran Duran. I'm completely okay with Duran Duran as far as old 80s music goes. Kirk says, here's a question inspired by this episode, the second Dogman episode. What accounts for Steve Cook's resurrection of the Dogman mythos? Was it an archetypal causality which retrieved the legend from the collective unconscious? Or was it just a case of a nifty song stoking people's imaginations so that they really thought they were seeing dogmen?
That's the question. I mean, everything that you see from Steve Cook, he never says, he makes it sound like it was completely his idea. Like, I thought it'd be fun to make a monster, so I thought of this Dogman and then found some like other stories that support it, and then that caused people to call in. I think the idea that you see in a lot of like those like newspaper recountings of the story and the song and everything are sort of like you know, they heard the song, and these people who had these encounters, of course, they never wanted to speak about these encounters, but they're like, wait, someone else saw what I saw, and so they wanted to share the story, at least. And so that's like the popular narrative that gets told. And then from there, like, that's what kicks off, you know, like Dogman being sort of a Michigan cryptid type thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what Steve Cook was up to.
So sort of inspired by Kirk's question, which was inspired by our episode. I'm thinking about this, you know, archetypal causality thing and the collective unconscious. What if Steve Cook was an unwitting tool of some sort of intelligence that wanted this story out in the world? Which is one of these things. Is like, well, how do you go about proving that? Well, you don't. You just sort of say things like that. But I just like this idea that these ideas and these stories are just kind of out there, waiting for people to be suitable vessels for their spread. Actually, that sounds absolutely terrifying in some ways. I don't know. I think he just wanted to make some money. I assume he made some money off this. But
I don't know. How would you make money off of this?
Did he sell copies of the song?
Oh, I guess maybe, but it doesn't seem like it'd be terribly lucrative.
Yeah. So I guess I'm kind of running out of ideas for why he would do that. I mean,
some men just want to see the world burn.
That's true. That is true.
Well, just like the guy who made the video, he just wanted to bring back some good old-fashioned hysteria.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what's more fun? What is more fun than terrifying the townsfolk?
Make
Nothing.
The monkeys dance. That's what they wanted to do.
That's right. Actually, that does sound pretty good. I don't have the ambition or skill to pull off a hoax like that. I'd get bored, you know, before it even took effect, and then I'd be so proud of myself if I did pull it off. I would instantly say, "Oh yeah, I'd made this all up. It was awesome." Yeah. So you don't have to worry about us planning some sort of cryptid hoax. I don't think.
I'm the conscience of the duo, so
she is. She really is. Yeah. Okay. Uneasy on YouTube comment. We do post the episodes to YouTube as well. If you are a listen to podcasts on YouTube person, they said, I'm listening to this while doing my readings for reference services and learning how to triage interviews for a triaged interview for clients. A little surprised that Samantha heard Dogman stories in college. I had written off this cryptid as a YouTube creation, probably because most of the stories seemed to be kind of derivative of Sasquatch stories. Had no idea it was a regional thing. I wanted to... No, I didn't. I lost my place. Okay, here I am. Fascinating stuff. This is particularly good because besides the great folklore element, the contemporary element adds the postmodern intertextual ecosystem of the internet, which includes creepypasta, podcasts, YouTube videos, etc., which gives interesting strains and forks to the original lame story. I never really associated the Wendigo thing with Dogman, as Sam said. I think it's a stretch to connect it with indigenous myth, which has its own issues. You see that a lot, having Navajo people on podcasts to talk about how Sasquatch, not Bigfoot, is a sacred true thing. It's kind of gross, to be honest, but that's a me problem. Yes, I think that is, I really like that idea of the intertextual ecosystem of the internet contributing to the growth and spread of these stories.
Why don't you explain that in more common terms?
I will try. So the way I would describe it is there is the internet adds a layer of stories that include various formats and various means and media by which people get these stories. You hear things on podcasts, you read things on message boards, you watch YouTube videos, and the sort of way the internet does things and sort of the very internet-y way this works is that you get led from thing to thing sometimes. You watch a YouTube video and there is a also recommended video about this, which sometimes people put two and two together in their head and get some answer other than four. And these stories just sort of circulate and build, and people may hear a Dogman story that is interesting to them, but has no relation to any of the sort of history of the Dogman mythos, with the song and everything. But that new story becomes an old story, kind of like how we talked about in the episode, with these reports that are submitted to websites being kind of the little seedlings of later large Dogman myths. That's sort of how I would sort of explain that.
Well, and also just that there are made up things on the internet. So like creepypasta generally refers to things that are like they're made up things on the internet. And there's a long story about how like what creepypasta is that I won't get into exactly, but it's this this idea, like just like with Slender Man, or now there's, what is it, Siren Man? Have you seen this?
I have heard of it. Yeah.
And so these are like monsters, these stories that are created online, and then things are so far removed from its creation that people actually believe that it's a real piece of folklore or legend, or that there were real sightings. But no, it was just some person who created the story for a contest and posted it online. And so, even if it is sort of a confusing what the true narrative is, there's then this whole element of like truly fake things that then take on a mythology completely of their own. So I think there's sort of two pieces to it.
Yeah. And the internet, just things spread. And I think social media stuff in the last 10, 12 years has caused these things to spread and mutate and evolve even more quickly. And not in a good way sometimes. And I agree about the sort of indigenous myth element to things that can be extremely problematic sometimes, and we'll be delving into those issues in 2022, including the Wendigo, I believe. So that's going to be
and
fun.
For me, a lot of that comes down to like truly understanding what the myth or legend is and what peoples they came from, because like Native Americans aren't all they are one homogeneous group, and a lot of people who don't know history, who don't take the time to understand that, I mean, just like we mentioned with the Skinwalker and people connecting Dogman to Skinwalker, like Skinwalker is from a completely different set of Native American beliefs than the tribes that were up here in the Great Lakes region. Not to mention, I think things like Skinwalker Ranch has further confused what the true meaning of Skinwalker was to those native tribes. So there, you just got a lot of nuance, a lot of care when examining it. I don't think that it can never be done. I don't think that it should be ignored in studying myths and legends. It's a very important piece to it, but you need to understand what you're talking about.
Yes, and it's part of a long history of sort of misappropriation of indigenous ideas, and one that that sort of picked up steam in a lot of ways with in sort of quotes here, the New Age movement of the 1970s did a lot to sort of promote that appropriation of Native American things. Okay, next.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So our next question actually was a tweet that came from my aunt. She said that she hadn't realized how concentrated in the Reed City area these sightings were. This is what she wrote. I remember, Sam, your grandfather talking about hearing some stories when he worked at the Reed City Herald. We both wondered at the time if maybe mass hysteria played a part. Any thoughts? So yeah, my grandparents lived in Reed City for a time, and my grandpa worked for the newspaper, and I didn't know anything about this at the time. I don't remember hearing him talk about it or anything. But it actually does. I think a couple of the stories were sort of in that same couple years-ish that they lived there or shortly thereafter. So there's clearly some kind of something going on that these people, had these reports from, if it wasn't the same year, it was just like a year or two later. So maybe there was something going around, and I mean, maybe it was a person who saw a thing and then everybody's like, oh yeah, I saw a big whatever, it's probably a dog man too, or something like that. So unfortunately I have nothing else to say on that, but the dates do kind of line up ish.
That's interesting. That's so cool that you have that actual connection to the place where all this happened. Yeah. And one final comment. This is from our Halloween Q&A bonus episode. Black Wolf says, like all fans, I'm racking my brain trying to figure out what Gullius's Yahoo personal screen name was. I can't remember exactly, but it was flying saucer related. So yeah, I'm shocked that the whole thing didn't work out. So yeah, there we are. Thank you for those comments and questions. And anything else, Sam?
No, if you are enjoying what we're doing, though, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. That means something in the algorithm ratings world. So we've had a few ratings and reviews, but if that's the platform you use, or even if it's not, if you want to jump on there and leave that rate or review there, you can. I don't think you can rate and review things on Spotify that way.
I don't think so either. I can't remember if Google Podcasts has a rating
I don't know
system.
anything about Google Podcasts.
Neither do I. We should probably learn. But good reminder. Please, if you like the show, rate and review it. We'd really appreciate that. And tell your friends. Because we'd like more. We'd like as many people who like these things to hear them as possible. We want to share the good news of historians doing things.
Yes, and we have 2 more episodes before a holiday special.
Yes,
and then we'll be breaking for the holidays. So not a long break, but a few weeks, so that we can enjoy time with our families and have our celebrations and things like that. So buckle in for the last few episodes of our first season. It's been a lot of fun, and the feedback's been phenomenal. So we appreciate all of you guys. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, we thank you.
So have a good Thanksgiving. If you're listening to this in real time on the day or the week of release, enjoy your Thanksgiving here in the United States, and hope you enjoyed it a month ago in Canada. And we will be back.
Yes. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.